You ever been in the city park and the pigeons are just everywhere and you thought to yourself, man, I'd like to eat one of those. Let me show you how. What you're gonna need is 2 sticks. So fingertip to elbow, give or take, maybe a little longer. You can make this as big as you want, but this is gonna be big enough for a pigeon or a dove or that size bird. You're going to need a couple pieces of string. This is bank line. Comes in a roll like this. Doesn't have to be this cordage. It could be really anything. It does not matter at all. 2 pieces of cordage twice as long as the sticks. You're just gonna take one end of the cordage and you're going to tie it to one end of the stick. Just a square knot, granny knot, does not matter. As long as you get it secured to the end of the stick, it does not matter how you do it. There's that. And then you're gonna take this end of the cordage over here and tie it to the end of the other stick. What we've got now is 2 sticks attached by 1 piece of cordage right there. And now we're gonna do the same thing on the opposite end of the sticks. So we're gonna tie the ends together here. It is a beautiful rainy day, just a slow drizzly rain, and that's my favorite weather. I love it. So now what we've got is basically a square rectangle-ish string attached to both ends of our sticks. And it looks like a trapeze. What we have to do now is give it a twist like that. And it's gonna make an X with our cordage. Now I'm just gonna insert a stick there. You can leave them long. It's not really gonna hurt anything if you leave them long, but it just makes it look prettier if they're kind of uniform. And then I'm gonna slip this one underneath the strings, going the opposite way, like this. And then I'm just gonna pull it to the end, pull it kind of tight. It's a little bit loosey-goosey right now, but as you work and you put a few more of these in, it's just gonna get tighter and tighter and start to make a basket. Now, all jokes aside, there may come a time when the grocery stores no longer supply all of the food that you need or maybe just desire. So there may come a time, even if you live in an urban area, where trapping is a possibility. I don't live under any illusions or fantasies that we're all gonna end up living off the land. We're not gonna all head to the hills and start hunting and fishing for our existence. I just don't think that that's, one, it's not possible, because if everyone was to start doing that, the wildlife would just be decimated really, really quick. And the same goes for the pigeon population. It's probably going to go down pretty fast when people start to get hungry. They're going to be easy pickings until they get wise to us, I guess. For the short term survival, short-term urban survival, you could potentially catch yourself a meal or two by building a trap like this. It doesn't take very long, doesn't require any materials, doesn't require a lot of special tools. Any cordage will do, any sticks will do, as long as they're reasonably straight and not completely rotten and dead. And it does work. I have caught doves and pigeons in these traps very reliably. The straighter the better. You don't want big curves in the sticks, because they'll make big openings in your trap where a critter could potentially get out. This is an ulu that I designed to go in a survival kit. It fits perfectly in a sized 10, like an Altoid size 10, and you could build your own survival kit around this if you so chose. I like to carry mine in my pocket in a sheath that I made out of Kydex, and used 22 spent casings for the rivets. Thought that was pretty cool. Looks pretty awesome. And the sheath works really, really good too. Slips right in your pocket. It's flat. You don't even notice it's there. Keeps it pretty secure. But anyway, the Ulu is really, really cool, made of a high carbon steel. This one has been Cerakoted, which is cool. And it's got a very high Scandi grind, which makes it razor sharp. I mean, that thing is like a laser beam through anything. It's very, very sharp. You can get these from Bear Forest Knives. I would say probably the best thing about trapping, just in general, regardless of where you do it, is that it's working for you when you can be off doing other things. So set this trap up. Of course, it takes a little while. I could probably build one of these in, an hour, maybe, give or take. Build another one and build another one. Have several of these working for me. Put them up on rooftops, wherever you see pigeon type activity or other birds of similar habits. And you could set this thing up and then just leave it and then come back and you'll find your bird sitting there waiting for you. They'll be alive. It doesn't kill the birds, and it could be released if you chose to. So for practice purposes, this is something that you can practice without harming the animals, and then get better, more proficient at your trapping skills. Check your own laws and stuff like that for legality, that sort of stuff. That's on you, not me. Do what you can do, but practicing this ahead of time before you, it's a requirement, I think is a really, really good idea. Trapping is definitely a skill. This one's probably the easiest form of trapping that I've ever done. Requires the least amount of effort, and it works really well as long as the birds are in the area. Now, some of you might be asking, thinking to yourself, why not just use a box or some sort of crate or something like that? Yeah, and it would be easier, but one, if it rains, a cardboard box is going to be kind of useless. Two, for some reason, because I've tried both, for some reason, the birds seem to shy away from something that they can't see through. They feel trapped already before they even go inside the thing. But this, being able to see through it and made of natural materials, branches, it just seems to work a little bit better. And I didn't have any luck with a box, actually. But I was able to catch birds very regular out of this trap. I even think I caught the same bird multiple times. So the bird never got wise to it. It was worth the bird feed or whatever that I put in here as bait was worth it, apparently. And now the last one just goes on the very top and stretches the string a bit more and helps hold it all together nice and tight. There we go. And there is our basket trap. Now you can use a knife for this part, but a saw is going to be much easier. So I'm going to cut halfway through with my saw. Right about halfway, just like that. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, the opposite side, about an inch away, give or take, maybe an inch and a half. Now I'm going to try to get that to split. There we go. Clean this up a little bit. Now these two pieces should fit together perfectly because they were, at one time, the same piece. This is probably the simplest type of trigger. Some people call it a promontory peg. Call it whatever you want. It's a very simple trigger mechanism. So it looks kind of like that. Right there. But if any pressure at all gets applied to the stick, it easily collapses and falls. So now I'm just going to carve a small little notch right here so my cordage can slip in here without interfering with the trigger mechanism locking together. So I just need a tiny little notch, just big enough for the cordage to slip in there. That should be big enough for our cordage to slip in. So now I need another piece of string that's going to attach from the back corner there to the back corner there, and it's going to come all the way to the front. So it's a continuous piece of string that's going to go there, to there, to there. I'll just tie it off here first. It's probably going to be the easiest thing to do. Now I'm going to run my cordage to where I estimate my trigger is going to be up here. And then I'm going to tie it off back here at this far corner right there. So I'll take the cordage, I'll slip it in my little groove right there, center it up, lock this piece in place right over top, stretch the cordage tight. So by pulling the bottom, I can pull the cordage tight, and then I'll set that on the ground. Sometimes it takes a little finagling to get it to balance right. So after just a little bit of finagling, some fine tuning of the trigger, we've got it set up and it's ready to catch a bird. So we're gonna stick our bird seed or whatever bait we're using to lure in our pigeon right here, way back towards the back. So the bird can't get to it in any way, shape or form, can't reach in there and get it without crossing this line right here. So what he's gonna do is he's gonna come hopping along, and then he's gonna wanna get in there. So he's gonna flap his wings, he's gonna flop over here and maybe even try to land on this string. And if he does, he's gonna break that promontory peg and the trap will fall on top of him and the bird will be captured inside of our trap, waiting patiently for you to come get it. Again, do I think that we're all gonna be living off the land and everyone's gonna be trapping birds off the rooftops in the cities and that's how they're gonna end up getting by? I don't know, but what I do know is that the more tools we have in our tool belt, the better, right? You can't just give up and say, oh, you know, all is lost, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. You will find a way to make it happen. And if it means trapping birds on top of the roof with a trap such as this, then that's what it means. And just to get you to the next day, to the next day, to the next day. You don't have to do it all at one time, just like learning new skills. You don't have to learn them all right now. You just need to learn one more. What skill do I need to learn right now? And that brings me to my second point, is you need to go practice this. Don't just watch the video and assume you know how to do it. You need to practice these things. Actually get the feel for making the trigger systems and setting up the triggers and getting good at that, because that does take some practice. Set these things up. Legal issues, you deal with that, figure out what's legal in your area. But again, you can catch and release these birds. It doesn't hurt them at all. Really do appreciate you watching, guys. Make sure you hit that thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't done so already. Leave a comment. Any comment will do. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about urban trapping just in general. I'd be really excited to talk to you about that in the comment section. See you next time, guys.